10 eerie signs someone can't get you out of their head. You're going about your day, minding your own business, when suddenly, a chill runs down your spine. You can't shake the feeling that someone's watching you, or maybe even thinking about you, obsessively. It's the kind of eerie sensation that feels straight out of a thriller. But what if it's happening to you right now, right in your own life? How can you be sure? What if the person fixated on you is right under your nose, hiding in plain sight? Their obsession disguised as casual friendship, or worse, something more sinister? Well, in today's video, we're uncovering the hidden signs that prove when someone's mind has become your personal residence. These aren't just harmless crushes or passing infatuations. No, this is something deeper, something darker, when someone's obsession with you goes beyond the normal and into the realm of psychological fixation. By the time you finish watching, you might find yourself questioning every interaction, every gesture, and every social media like. Ready to find out if someone's secretly obsessed with you? Let's dive in, because you might not like what we uncover. But before we begin, welcome to another video from PSY Insight. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more social psychology videos, and drop a comment saying, "I subscribed," so we can give you a warm welcome. Now, let's get into it. 1. The phantom texter. You're texting someone, mid-conversation, when suddenly you get a notification, their name flashes on your phone. You feel a jolt of excitement, expecting a message, but when you check, nothing. It's blank, no message, no notification, just a ghostly reminder that they were there. At first, you might think it's a mistake, a glitch, maybe, but what if it's not? What if someone is obsessively trying to reach out to you, only to pull back at the last second? They might start drafting long, heartfelt messages, their fingers hovering over the send button, then deleting everything in a frenzy. It's the digital equivalent of pacing around a room, unsure of what to say. But why would they do this? Because every time they think of you, their brain lights up with a rush of dopamine, the same chemical that fuels addiction. They can't stop thinking about you, but the fear of rejection or making things awkward keeps them from actually sending the message. You might never see it, but these phantom notifications are a sign that you've become a constant thought in someone's mind. And trust me, it's not just a coincidence. A 2021 study found that 60% of people admit to drafting and deleting messages to someone they're intensely attracted to. It's a mix of desire and anxiety. But what happens when this digital back and forth starts to bleed into your real life? Are they obsessing over you? Or is it something more unsettling? 2. The social media shadow. Have you ever noticed that one person who always likes your posts, watches your stories the second they go live, or leaves comments that make you pause and wonder if they're reading between the lines of your life? They don't just interact, they mirror you. You post about a band, and suddenly they're obsessed with that band. 2. You talk about your favorite coffee shop, and the next day, they're posting photos of the same place. It seems like innocent interest at first, right? But what if it's something more? What if this is their way of entering your world? A 2021 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people who are obsessively watching their romantic interests online are often battling intrusive thoughts and intense emotional fixation. They're trying to get closer to your world, your friends, your hobbies. Everything about your life becomes a way for them to feel connected to you. This is no longer about sharing interests, it's about aligning themselves with you in every way, even without you knowing it. What's scarier, that they might be doing this to fit in, or that they might be doing this because they believe they already belong in your life? 3. The time traveler. Ever had a conversation where they suddenly mentioned something you said weeks, months, or even years ago, like the color of your shirt at a random party, or a passing comment you thought they'd never remember? At first, it might seem sweet. Wow, they really pay attention. But then it keeps happening, over and over again. They recall conversations, seemingly insignificant moments, with unsettling clarity. What if this isn't just a good memory at work? What if they've replayed every conversation with you in their mind so many times that it's all they can think about? A 2019 study found that people who are romantically obsessed with someone can have extraordinary recall of moments related to that person, sometimes at the expense of other memories. They're mentally replaying each moment with you, overanalyzing every word, every gesture, every glance. You've become the star of their mental reel, and they're stuck in a loop. What if, in their mind, you've been living in the past with them all along, and that memory of you is the only one that matters? Does it make you wonder how much of your real relationship is actually happening in their head? 4. The mood mimic. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling down, They suddenly seem to mirror your emotions. Maybe you're feeling sick, and suddenly, they're sniffling too. Or you're excited about something, and their enthusiasm matches yours beat for beat. It seems like simple empathy, right? But what if it's more than that? What if they're so emotionally fixated on you that they can't help but reflect your moods as if they're your emotional twin? Psychologists call this emotional contagion, but when obsession is at play, it goes much deeper. A study in emotion found that people who are obsessed with a romantic interest tend to subconsciously mirror their emotions, even when physically apart. They're not just empathizing, they're becoming you. Your highs are their highs, your lows are their lows. It's as though they can't experience their own emotions anymore without first syncing with yours. This kind of emotional mirroring can be intense, even unsettling. But here's the question: are they simply reflecting your feelings, or are they using you to feel whole? And if that's the case, how does it affect the balance of your relationship? 5. The coincidence creator. You mention wanting to try a new coffee shop, and the next day, they're there, saying they've always wanted to check it out too. You decide to take a different route to work, and suddenly, they're on the same bus. These coincidences start to pile up until it feels like the universe is conspiring to make your paths cross. But is it fate, or is it someone carefully orchestrating these encounters to get closer to you? This phenomenon, called contrived coincidence, is a hallmark of obsessive attraction. A 2020 study in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence found that 70% of stalking victims reported experiencing chance encounters with their stalker, encounters that felt too perfectly timed to be random. These seemingly innocent coincidences aren't accidents. They're carefully planned moments, designed to insert themselves into your life, your routine, your world. It starts small, but over time, it's like they're following you. Are they just being coincidental, or is their entire life designed around bumping into you? And more importantly, how long before these random encounters feel less like chance and more like a calculated invasion? 6. The information sponge. Do they seem to know things about you that you're sure you never shared? Your favorite obscure book, the name of your childhood pet, or the exact city where you spent summers growing up? Maybe it's not psychic intuition. It's more likely the result of obsessive information gathering. They've turned into a sponge, soaking up every detail about you they can find online, through friends, or even in the background of casual conversations. A study published in Cyberpsychology, Behavior, and Social Networking found that people who engage in high levels of online information seeking about a romantic interest often report obsessive thoughts and lower self-esteem. What happens when they know too much? What if they've pieced together an entire narrative of your life without you even realizing it? The scary part? They don't always need your permission or even your awareness to gather this info. They're building a complete mental profile of you, collecting fragments of your life, even without your consent. And one day, it may cross your mind, how much do they actually know about you? And why does it feel like they know you better than anyone else? 7. The jealousy barometer. Ever noticed how their mood changes dramatically when you interact with someone else? A casual chat with a coworker, or even a friendly conversation with a stranger, sends them into a spiral. They might try to hide it, but their body language betrays them: tense posture, cold silence, or even thinly veiled accusations. You haven't done anything wrong, but somehow, they feel threatened. This isn't just normal jealousy, it's a heightened, irrational response to any perceived threat to their imagined connection with you. A study in personal relationships found that obsessive individuals often exhibit intense jealousy, even in situations most would consider harmless. Their jealousy becomes a barometer of their obsession, fluctuating wildly based on every small interaction with someone who might be perceived as a rival. It's exhausting, not just for them, but for everyone around you. How do you handle someone whose emotional state is tethered to every perceived threat to your relationship? And how much longer before this jealousy becomes the center of your interactions? 8. The reality rewriter. Do they have an uncanny ability to remember moments with you that never actually happened? A casual encounter at a party turns into a shared moment of deep connection in their mind. A conversation where you barely spoke becomes an unspoken bond that only they seem to remember. This is confabulation, the act of rewriting reality to fit a romantic narrative. It's not always intentional lying. It's the brain's way of filling in the gaps, creating memories that support their obsession. A 2018 study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people with strong romantic feelings are more likely to distort or misremember interactions in a positive light. Your interactions with them are no longer just events, they're part of an ever-growing story they've created in their mind, with you at the center. But what happens when these memories become so vivid that they start to believe them as truth? And when their reality clashes with yours, how do you respond when they start seeing a relationship that never existed? 9. The gift gauntlet. At first, it's just small tokens, perhaps a book by an author you mentioned once or a coffee from your favorite shop. But soon, the gifts become more frequent, more personal, and each one feels like it carries an unspoken expectation, an obligation you didn't ask for but can't ignore. Psychologists call this the reciprocity principle, the human need to repay what we've been given. At first, it might seem sweet, like a thoughtful gesture, but when the gifts grow in intensity, it becomes clear it's not just about kindness, it's about control. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that gift giving can create a sense of indebtedness even when the receiver didn't ask for or want the items. In the hands of someone obsessed, gifts become more than simple gestures, they're a way to create bonds, manipulate feelings, and tie you to them in ways you might not even realize. When the gifts keep coming, and you're unsure of what to do, it might be time to ask, is this love? Or is it a carefully calculated strategy to ensnare you? 10. The future forecaster. They talk about the future as if you're already a part of it, casually mentioning trips you'll take together, names of your future children, or where you'll live when you're both retired. It sounds playful at first, a harmless fantasy, but when these mentions start to feel more like certainty, that's when it gets unsettling. This behavior, called fantasy rehearsal, is common in obsessive love. A 2017 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people who engage in frequent, future-oriented fantasies about a romantic interest report higher levels of obsessive thoughts and lower satisfaction with their actual relationships. What happens when the future they've created with you in their mind doesn't align with the reality of your own life? Are they fantasizing about a future that might never happen? Or have they already convinced themselves it's inevitable? And once someone starts building an entire future with you, can they ever let go of that dream?